just wanted to pop in and do a quick little YouTube live. We've got numerous events going on across the region, with one in particular, big one, the Montana Folk Festival. So want to go through the weekend forecast, let you know what kind of temperatures we could see, what kind of conditions you may face, how our fire risk is going to be for the next few days, as well as what we can expect for early next week and that next weather maker. So if you can give me just a few minutes, we'll go into the details of that forecast here in just a second, but I'll get a couple things here fixed up behind the scenes. I'll show you those current conditions outside across the region, which with high pressure starting to build in, it's very nice. We're looking at quiet conditions overall for today, and I think that's great news. It's going to be a good couple of days to get outdoors, that's for sure. Done. All right, that is working like I want it to. And that part is working there. So let me spin this back around, and I think we're all in good shape. So I'd say let's get started with this in full. I know people will sort of start to filter their way in to this live as we go throughout it. So as we're going through the forecast for the next few days, if you have any questions or comments, certainly feel free to ask those. I'm still waiting for my chat section to load on my other screen, but I'll keep an eye on that as we go throughout this update. So again, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to ask those. Let us know where you're tuning in from as well. Let me spin this back around, and here's a look at the upper air pattern that we're seeing right now. And over the last 2 days, we've had a trough of low pressure, which you can see roughly in here with that cold front right on the front side of it. That's been pushing through our region. That helped to bring some cloud cover to most of the area yesterday, showers and thunderstorms in northwest Montana. That has really pushed out of our region, and we're going to be left with zonal flow today, and then eventually a ridge of high pressure, and you can see that starting to take shape as I take a little bit wider look. It's pretty shallow right now. It's this little zone right here. That's going to expand and build in coverage over the next 12 to 24 hours and really center over our region heading into Sunday, especially Sunday, but Saturday, Sunday, and the first part of Monday before that ridge begins to break down. So with that in place, we're looking at really nice conditions outside. We're looking at a lot of sunshine. Right now, temperatures in the 50s, 52 Butte, 57 in Kalispell, 58 in Missoula, and 56 in Dillon. Most areas were in the 40s and 50s throughout the morning. Right now, winds are on the lighter side, though we could see those start to pick up just a little bit, similar to what we're seeing there in Dillon at 13 miles per hour. I think sustained winds of 5 to 15 are going to be common today. Could see gusts upwards to about that 15 to 20 mile per hour range in most areas. As for those highs, pretty seasonable for this time of the year. We're going to be in the 70s and 80s, 75 there in West Yellowstone, 77 in Butte, 84 in Salmon, 82 for Bozeman, 87 in Missoula, and 81 in Kalispell. A few areas such as Missoula are going to be about 2 to 5 degrees above average for this afternoon, but this is just the start of that warming trend. We'll see much warmer conditions as we head into this weekend, and that's we've got a big event going on. And here's the forecast for the Montana Folk Festival. If you're heading out for the music, for the fun, we're going to see those temperatures this afternoon. 87 degrees, mostly clear skies. Saturday and Sunday, both looking at temperatures potentially into the low 90s. I think 80s are going to be a little bit more common, but certainly be aware of that. It's going to be plenty hot area-wide in the mining city. If you have plans, make sure to stay hydrated and make sure to wear the sunscreen. The UV index area-wide is going to be on the high side as well. So again, just be aware of that. It should be a great event, should be a great weekend. And if you happen to have any photos or videos from the Montana Folk Festival or any of those events going on across the region, certainly feel free to share those with us at nbcmontana.com/chime in. Now I want to jump into the winds. We're going to see those again today, maybe 15 to 20 miles per hour on the high side. As we get into Saturday, you'll notice those start to kick up. You see more of these oranges and yellows showing up, especially for northwest and west central Montana, and that could lead to a slightly elevated fire weather risk. And we'll go into more detail about the fire weather risk here in just a second. But certainly be aware of that. Hot, dry conditions plus wind, usually not a great recipe for fire weather concerns. But the reason I bring up the winds on another case is because I know a lot of people will probably be heading to area lakes and area rivers over the next couple of days. Looking at that Flathead Lake forecast, we're going to be 91 on Saturday, 94 on Sunday. Water temperature is pretty good right now, upper 60s to near 70 degrees in a few locations. The UV index, again, very high. That's going to be one concern. Make sure to wear the sunscreen and reapply over time, especially if you get into the water. The winds as we get into Saturday and Sunday will be a bit more elevated. I think sustained winds, maybe even as high as 15 to 20 miles per hour, are expected with gusts of 20 to 30 miles per hour. Once again, that could lead to some choppy conditions on the lake. So be aware of that. It may be a little bit more dangerous for smaller craft. It may not be a great weekend for paddle boarding and things of that nature, but hopefully the winds don't get quite as strong and we can still just have a really good weekend. Before we get into the next weather maker, though, I am going to pull up this graphic, and this is our, let me get to the very end here. This is our updated map for some of our more, I'll say, significant wildfires in Montana, as well as within our general vicinity. For western Montana, the three that I've got my eye on: the Garnet Fire, which right now, as of last update, is around 100 acres. It was moving pretty aggressively yesterday. Maybe it has slowed just a little bit, but about 100 acres on the Garnet Fire. And then the Big Bear and Rush Fires. And let me get the correct information, at least as of the latest updates that I have seen on those. Mostly for these two fires, the reason I'm looking at those, I've been watching some of the satellite imagery, the heat signatures for those particular fires, and they've been, I'll say, on the hot side. They've been a little bit more active as compared to other fires in our region. But that could help to pump up some smoke into parts of the Bitterroot Valley, southwest Montana. So if you're dealing with a little bit more haze down there, I would say it's probably because of these two fires. Over in the direction of places, say, like Lincoln, across the divide over towards Helena, Great Falls, where you're getting some more of that smoke would be from the Garnet Fire. So just something to kind of keep a close eye on. As of last update, and I'll spin this back around on those particular fires, the Rush Fire is showing at 25 acres. Right now they're into Idaho and then just across the state line as well. The Big Bear Fire is at 150 acres, but again, those seem to be a little bit more active as compared to other fires in our region. And most of our fires, again, we had this map was a lot busier just the other day here in our part of the state, but some fire crews have been able to get on most of those fires, and right now it's just the Garnet Fire specifically for western Montana. Now, we do have a bunch of smaller grass fires out here in eastern Montana. It does seem like a lot of these are starting to get contained and maintained. Really, right now, it does seem like the most active one that's from the latest updates that I'm seeing is the King Fire down here south and east of Billings, east of Lodge Grass and Crow Agency. But those are mostly grass fires, a little easier for those to spread a bit more quickly as compared to the ones back into, again, our part of the state that's a little bit more tree-based. So something we'll keep a very close eye on. Fire risk is still going to be, I'd say, in that low to moderate category as we get into Saturday and Sunday. So nothing particularly high, but it's slightly elevated. So certainly be aware of if you're towing a trailer or something like that. The chains, those can actually spark on the ground and start fires along the roadsides. It's kind of the same thing that happens when trains tend to do the same thing. So those are two potential things to keep a close eye on. But also, left campfires. If you're doing any camping this weekend, make sure those campfires are put out as much as you possibly can so they don't smolder and help to potentially start a new fire. So again, hopefully we don't have to deal with any of that over the next few days. And once we get to Monday and Tuesday, Monday will be a bit of a stormy day. Tuesday and Wednesday will be much better when it comes to our fire weather risk. And the reason for that is going to be much cooler temperatures that are expected. But getting into that next weather maker, we are dry for Saturday, well, for Friday, Saturday, and much of the region for Sunday. The one exception will be far northwestern Montana, right along the Canadian border, where we could see an isolated shower or thunderstorm late Sunday afternoon and evening. This may try and get down towards Kalispell, but places more like Eureka, Polbridge probably have a better chance of seeing a brief shower or thunderstorm. Monday is going to be that day of transition for us. That's next cold front and trough are going to slide in. This is going to bring an increase in those rain chances. But then Tuesday, that's really the day that I have my focus on for more widespread precipitation across the area. Models have been trending up with this next storm system, at least in the amount of activity that it is showing. So looking at our more extended future tracker, here's that look for Sunday afternoon and evening. As you can see, most of the precipitation stays up in Canada, though we could see a few of these towards Lincoln, or towards Eureka, I should say, in Lincoln County. Kalispell, Polbridge, can't even rule out an isolated shower for the higher elevations in southwest Montana as well as along the divide, but not expecting too much of that right now. Then we get into Monday. Storm track keeps it, north once again. This is looking around 1 to 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock time frame in the afternoon, and we're likely going to see the development of some showers and thunderstorms really for northwestern Montana on a line from Libby over to Kalispell, then back down the divide towards Helena, and then into southwestern Montana. Maybe a few of these showers try to work their way towards Bozeman, but better chances into the Beartooth and Absaroka Mountains for Monday afternoon. But watch how this continues to expand in coverage overnight Tuesday, staying in northwest Montana, or overnight Monday into Tuesday morning, primarily staying there, but then it tracks south and we see more widespread shower and potentially some thunderstorm activity for the entirety of the area as we get into Tuesday afternoon and evening. Right now, it does look like the primary focus will stay for areas along and north of Interstate 90 because this is a slightly lower resolution model, so there's not going to be not as much activity here as what's shown here, so it's not going to be a complete washout I think, for areas along and south of I-90. But be aware that those rain chances are increasing. We may see those continue to increase as we go throughout this weekend, and there may be a fair bit of cold air with this as well as it's sliding in from the north with that backdoor cold front coming in from Canada. So there is the potential for some raw conditions up into Glacier National Park for late Monday and Tuesday. We'll see those showers remain in place throughout Tuesday evening, Wednesday morning as it begins to move into southwest Montana, areas east of the divide for the most part at this point. And by about midday on Wednesday, other than some showers down towards Bozeman, Ennis, Townsend, West Yellowstone, we're starting to dry out, and it looks like high pressure is beginning to build back into the region for next week. Looking at those temperatures, or at least the tracker on this, Sunday's going to be the hottest day, as it looks like right now. Upper 80s to 90s are going to be common. Bozeman around 95 there on Sunday. Monday, we start to see those cooler temperatures up in northwest Montana. You see Kalispell, Cut Bank, both in the 70s at that point, but it's still pretty toasty along and south of Interstate 90. But then Tuesday, you'll notice these temperatures are significantly cooler. Let me get back to Tuesday there. But you can see roughly where that moisture in that front is. While 67 in Kalispell, 70 in Missoula, 75 Butte, 76 Dillon, and 67 there in Bozeman. Take a look at Salmon, Idaho, 91 degrees there, 92 in Lewiston. So roughly that front's going to be essentially sagged right through this zone. And so parts of southwestern Montana over here towards, say, Wisdom, Big Hole Pass, depending on how quickly that front slides through, you may still have a pretty warm day on Tuesday again. That'll eventually come through, and then on Wednesday, we're still looking... Excuse me. We're still looking at temperatures there for the most part in the 70s, but back into north and central Montana, we're in the 60s. So a much cooler period of weather is expected then, but then as quickly as that cool air moves in, we're likely warming back up into the 80s and eventually 90s for Thursday and Friday. Nothing too typical as we head into the middle parts of July. So, if you have any questions, again, feel free to ask those. This is going to be kind of that last call as we recap what we're tracking. Today, zonal flow, seasonable weather conditions, near to slightly above average temperatures are expected today, 70s and 80s. Winds will be around, say, 5 to 15 miles per hour this afternoon. This weekend, high pressure begins to build. It's not going to be like a huge ridge of high pressure where it just gets stagnant and hot. It's still going to be plenty hot, no doubt about that. We're talking temperatures for most areas in the 90s this weekend with dry conditions. But because of the lower amplitude on this ridge of high pressure, the winds are going to stay on the breezy side, so we could see those 20 to 30 miles per hour, especially on Saturday, but potentially as well on Sunday. And then we'll get into the early parts of next week with that storm system with showers, storms, much cooler temperatures back down into the 60s and 70s as we head into starting off on Monday in northwest Montana, but then Tuesday and Wednesday for the rest of the area before likely high pressure is back for the end of next week, and we're back into the 80s and 90s. So again, pretty typical for this time of the year. I think with that, I'm going to wrap it up. I hope you all have a great weekend, a safe weekend. And if you're going to any of the events going on across the region, the Montana Folk Festival, certainly feel free to share your photos and videos with us at nbcmontana.com/chime in. You might see them on air or online. And I'm trying to think if I've got anything else that I can think of. Nothing springing to mind. Certainly be aware of that fire weather risk. Again, it's on the low to maybe moderate side, so not particularly high, but it is still going to be slightly elevated with the hot, dry conditions. We'll take all the moisture we can get with this storm system on Monday and Tuesday because we are still dealing with well below average precipitation at many areas. I've seen that for the last few months, and it's only probably going to get hotter from here as we get into the end of July and into the early parts of August. So let's enjoy this moisture while we can get it for next week, for the early parts of next week, and then we'll go from there. Hopefully we don't deal with any new fire starts, but that's certainly something we'll keep you advised here at NBC Montana with all of the wildfire updates as we progress through the rest of the summer and fire season. So with that, I will wrap it up. Have a great one. Great Friday, great weekend. Stay safe, and I'll see you all on the next one. With NBC Montana, I'm meteorologist Mitchell Phillips.